event dispatch instances can only be referenced in the level. And what do I mean by that? Well, if we come in the Unreal documentation and we read this, it says by binding one or more events to an event dispatcher, you can cause all of those events to fire once the event dispatcher is called. These events can be bound within a Blueprint class, but event dispatchers also allow events to be fired within the level Blueprint. What does that mean exactly? It means this, in my mind, that event dispatch instances can only be referenced in the level. Let's do a quick example of this. This was confusing me, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, so let's create a event dispatcher. So I'm going to come in here and go to BP actor, and I'm just going to call this BP event dispatcher. So I'm creating a Blueprint class. I'm going to create a event dispatcher, and I'll just call it new event dispatcher. And then I'm just going to search for a box collision here, right here. And then with the box collision selected, I'm just going to come down here on component begin overlap. All we're going to do here is we're going to make a call when we're triggered. That's it. And then also I'll print a string out of here. And I guess to make this clearer, what we can do is on this event dispatcher, we can add an input, and we can call this trigger ID, and we're going to give this a name value like that. So we have an input off of the event dispatcher. And then we're going to add an input here, a variable over here, and we'll just call this name, or we'll just call it trigger ID 2. And we'll give it a name value here. And we'll make this instance editable so that we can differentiate our different event dispatchers in the scene. So we're going to go this, and it's going to be set to none. Okay, so what have we done? We've created a Blueprint class that contains an event dispatcher called new event dispatcher. And I'm going to drag this into the scene. I'll put it over here by this ramp. Now over here I can call this event dispatcher 1, right? Now what happens if I drag another instance of this into the scene? So now I've created 2 instances, right? And I can call this event dispatcher 2, right? And then I'm going to drag another one into the scene here up higher on the ramp, and I'll call this event dispatcher 3. Then what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and save all. I need something to receive the call, right? So I'm going to create another Blueprint actor, and I'm going to call this BP receiver, right? Because it's going to be on the receiving end of the call. So let's double click into this, and we want to bind to that event dispatch, right? So I'm going to come up here, and on it I'm going to get rid of these nodes here. We're going to drag off of here. Now here's where it gets interesting. If I go get actor of class, right, you'll notice we have 3 instances of the event dispatcher in the scene, right? And I come in here and I go get actor of class. You would expect to see all 3 of them, but we don't. We just see the one. The initial instance that we created will be able to reference that, but all the other ones, we won't be able to reference them. What I need to do is pull off of here and go assign. I need to go assign new, this one right here. So we're binding to that class, and off of here we're just going to print a string. So we'll just print string, and in fact I can append the string like this, drag this in here, event dispatch received from this one, right? Whatever that trigger ID is, right? Compile and save. And all I have to do is drag this into the scene. It doesn't matter where it is. So let's hit play and see what we see. We've named all of these, right? So I'll hit play. And I come over to the very first one I created. Look, we receive it. no problem. And then I come over here. Hello, hello. So let me see something here. Let me pop this in here. Okay, let's try it again. So now I'll go play. And we see we got a message from Event Dispatcher 1. And it went through to our receiver. But then look, we come over here. We see Event Dispatcher 2, but there's no signal received, right? So we can't reference these instances here of these two event dispatchers. But we can reference this one, the initial class that we created. And anything else can connect to that same thing, right? So if I drag this another one of these receivers into the scene, right? And I hit play, now we're going to get two messages. So it's broadcasting out to every receiver that we have in the scene, right? So that's good to know, right? Now here's an interesting part. If I select this event dispatcher over here, and I come into the level blueprint and right click, you see I have a reference to that event dispatcher now. So I can get that event dispatcher, but only at this level. So here I could go assign. I should be able to get that assign new event dispatcher right here. And let me just get an event begin play here. Event begin play. This goes in here. And all we're going to do is, actually let me just copy this. Control C. Control V. And we'll just pop this in here. And pop that in there. Now watch what happens. I hit play. We see we get the message. It actually from the two receivers that we have in the scene, right? And now if I come over here, you'll see the event dispatch comes in on the two, right? But that's only coming from the level blueprint. So just something to know about event dispatchers.